Okay, what we did is we started with this as our reference, and we've done a couple of studies. We did a black and white value study, mid-tone, light and dark, all from this. We've done a color study, all from this, to get our palette right, and now we're doing another color study, but it's going to be color and light. So I'm going to try to take this as my reference for elements, and I'm going to try to apply this kind of a lighting effect to this. Ought to be interesting. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is use Mr. Gravity once again. So I have this at an angle and try to get it in frame. Sometimes that's an issue. And here's my palette next door to this, and I have my reference over here. And I'm going to start off painting traditional watercolor, light to dark. I think I'm going to start off with kind of a gamboge sky, and I'm just painting wet on dry. So I'm going to there, and here's going to be my light source somewhere down in there. And this whole thing is going to be influenced by the palette that I use. A lot of this is going to be in shade and shadow, so I don't have to really worry too much about that. So I could almost paint this whole thing in this warm light. So I will. And I see some oranges in here that I didn't see in some of the other ones. So we're going to try to emulate some of that happening. So there's the light coming through the trees there, and it really does kind of spill over down into this water down here as far as a kind of a reflection. Maybe a little bit on top of this bank that we have going on. And I'm just going to keep going with this warm color and start designing a little bit more value than anything else. Leave some of these little sparklies. That's going to be some show through. This tree up here, this big tree, and maybe even a little top light on some of those bushes over here. And the light's coming through. It's going to be a lot in shadow. So I'm going to even make that a little darker. And this is going to be dark in here. Much darker in there. These trees are burning out by the light a little bit. That's not too bad. I think we're off to a good start based on this kind of light source. So I've already done what I didn't want to do. Is I want to make this my light source, so I'm going to just wipe off a little color while it's still wet. There we go. There we go. Now I can start trying to shape this. So this is backlit. It's coming through. So all these trees in this case are in shade. This is ambient light. It's being reflected by the sky. The sky is still pretty light, actually. So I'm just going to add a little of that lilac, that purple quality to it, coming through some of that and of course if the light source is there, it might have a little bit of rim light on this, the bottoms of these clouds. We'll see. We won't know until we put in some darker values. But I am going to make that kind of cool in a way up here and let that blend. And I'm going to keep this very kind of sort of bright down in here. It's a little bit better. Going to mix more of this orange up. It's cat orange light, so I've got just like a little puddle of it here. Because I want to start painting some of these. I'm going to paint these mountains back here. This going on, and some of that orange, and some of this orange light actually drifting down through here. I want to make that more orange because I want that shade to be deeper. I also want this to be more on the yellow side, coming from where the light is coming from. There we go, that's a little better. Do that. And in this shadow area, that's pretty doggone lavender. I'm going to back that off with a little pains because I want to start putting in some of these darker tones. Start defining some of these things. I'm going to leave the water alone for now. I am going to put these rocks in as shapes with maybe some top light on them. That's kind of a good, I think that's kind of a good value. And going through here, I'm going to start making this water a little more reflective, like a little more like water maybe. But I still want to keep some of this light color on it. This yellow, orangey kind of color, but I want to tone it down. And I won't know anything yet until I get to start painting some darks in here. And I'm going to make it a warm dark. I'm going to use Payne's Gray, and I'm going to use alizarin together to give me this beautiful dark burgundy kind of color. And so I see all of these guys in shadow. I see a bunch of shadow over here, these mountains. I see this tall tree is going to be basically a shadow. I'm going to do my little dance to make up that tall tree. And I see that as that bush there. I'm trying to be kind of true to the ones that I did in the other paintings as far as drawing and the design. So this will give me a pretty good indication of what might happen with these. This one is going to be a little lower. And so here's my bank along here. And now I've got a bunch of these trees that are going to define this bank. And while that's still wet, I'm going to get that one there we go. Break that up a little bit. And I've still got that color mixed up. I am going to try to work on this water just a little bit. I think this is going to be darker down here, a lot darker actually. But it still has that little warm underpainting attached to it. And so the light's coming from the tree. This is actually blocking the light a little bit. And so it's not going to be nearly that, this part is not going to be nearly, because it's lit from behind, so it's not going to be nearly that bright. So I'm going to do this and give it maybe a little bit of light that's coming through here, this shine. Got to get more dramatic. With my darks. I haven't even put the darks in yet, so I want to see what a dark looks like, so I'm going to put a dark in. I want to put some dark in. I'm going to put some dark in. There's some darks I'm going to be able to count on. And it's going to be on this side of the tree now, because it's going to be darker over there. Probably because this is the light source, I'm going to have something going on here as far as some kind of a shadow, or not sure yet. But I know most of these trees are going to be blocked by this light. So here's some of these, this tree going down. And I know I'm going to have some sky holes in here, which I think work okay. I'm going to get this cooler as it goes off the edge. And try to keep that light, try to keep this light spilling over here. That's a little bit better. Make sure that this stays kind of on the orange side when it gets up into here. Again, picking a little bit of that up going down into the water. I have to start simplifying this into what is really happening. Leave a little bit of rim light on top of some of those rocks, but this has to get pretty dark over here. Sometimes that's difficult to just force yourself to just go for it. This is distracting me. And this is some dark coming down into this. Water. There's some dark. That paint was almost right out of the tube. It's thick down through there, but that's okay. I am going to have a couple of reflections. So I'm going to try to make that really kind of a burnt orange to indicate some of these and that and that. It's getting down into my rocks, so I don't want that. That's looks a little better. I got to start squeezing this guy down a little bit. A little glow. Coming through. And then I have to pinch off that light. I have to, if that's going to be my light source, I have to start much more dramatic. Excuse me. It's going to be less down here. Looks a tad more watery. Simplify some of these guys. Just let that go dark over there. So there's my light source, and I think what I'm going to have to do is brighten this light source like right in here. There's my light source, and I'm going to have to darken this light source so it looks like a light source. So it looks like it's coming from behind, is to do that with it. Now it's starting to make a little more sense to me. And surrounded by a little more dark, that burgundy kind of color again. Work okay. I don't know why I didn't do that to just start with. Oh well. So if I made that darker, I'm going to make this a little bit lighter so it translates. There we go. Actually, it should stay pretty dark down here. That's better. I'm simplifying. It always gets too complicated sometimes. Maybe just a little glow right there. Now I have to be able to look at it. I can't look at it yet because it's got too much stuff. Too much stuff going on. Too much stuff in the way. Make that sky a little more orange right through here. Yep. I'm just not quite sure how to handle this one part of this, but I'm just going to go for it and make that darker along this edge, and leave the other guy alone. I can't tell until the lights, until it dries, what I'm going to get out of that, but I'm just trying to invent light. I'm going to try and take you to a place that doesn't exist. I'm going to load up with just a little dark so I can put a few of those. I have to take the tape off of this so I can see what I have. So I can make informed decisions. Let's put it that way. Get rid of the mess. And I probably made this harder than it had to be, but I think that based on this, and coming from this as my visual elements and arrangement, and using this as my light, invented light inspiration, I don't think it's too bad. One thing I am going to do is I am going to use my white paint, and I'm going to kind of reinforce this part right here. There we go. That made a big difference. And I think the rest of it can stay on its own. I think I worked too hard on this one. It didn't have to be this complicated, but I was kind of searching a little bit. So sometimes you got to do that. That's why we do these things. So when we're not starting a full-size painting, we're not trying to save it in the first 10 minutes. So I have all these references as a guide. I wanted to show you one other little thing. This is my Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White. And what I did is I put some on my brush, and now I'm making my transparent watercolors opaque. And I think what I want to do is, there's my light source, and I just want to do a little of that. Maybe just a little more of that. Take my finger and spread it out. And that's enough. That's enough for me to make it a little more interesting. I could go back and I could try to light that side of that tree and whatnot, but I am not going to go there. I think this is enough information for me to decide whether to go with a bigger painting. And I have several of these that I could try using this palette and using this invented light to try to different kinds of, now that I've got my arrangement, composition, design, to try different light possibilities.